And welcome back everyone to yet another series of tips, tricks, and walkthroughs to help get you back on track with the games you might be looking for a little bit of help on. Today's series is a walkthrough on collecting music notes in Banjo Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. In these videos, we will be taking an in-depth look at the 9 different stages in Banjo Kazooie, and not only discussing the location of all 100 music notes in each one, but also tips and strats to help keep you safe while collecting them. These videos will be uncut start to finish, so it will be especially easy to follow along in your own game, if you'd like. In this part of the series, we'll be taking a look at the game's 4th stage, Bubblegloop Swamp. So let's start and see how I was able to collect all the notes on this level. So as we begin here on this stage, I think it's important to point out that this is probably one of the more dangerous stages in the ways of both environmental hazards as well as enemies in Banjo Kazooie. The green swamp water, of course, throughout the entire level causes damage to your character upon touching it, and the stage as a whole is filled with many enemies, so you'll need to be careful to stay healthy. And what's more is that I personally have always found Bubblegloop Swamp to have a bit of a confusing layout, and most of the areas look similar enough that I would frequently miss parts of the stage while collecting music notes, or I would just get plain lost altogether. So do your best to keep track of where you are and where you've been to avoid frustration later on down the road. While I fight some frogs here, I'm reminded to also point out that while there are obviously lots of enemies on this stage, and you should of course be careful not to lose any health or lives to them, always remember that the same enemies can be used to top yourself off when you run low on health. And if you get really low on health and it's risky to fight any enemies conventionally, don't be afraid to use any gold feathers that you might have to make yourself invulnerable and run down those enemies for some safe honeycomb pieces. While I begin working to get inside the big turtle room and the music notes inside here, I'm going to remind anyone looking to get all of the music notes on this level that you must transform into the crocodile using Mumbo's magic in order to do so. That is to say, there are some tight spots that you have to squeeze into in order to collect all 100, so make sure to check and make sure that you'll be able to afford the 10 Mumbo token cost in order to transform before getting too deep into this note run. Coming up here after I destroy these huts containing yet a few more music notes, you'll see me make some bad life decisions and take some unnecessary risks to collect some more music notes down in the swamp water below. While everything goes fine in the long run, there are actually some wading boots on one of the platforms nearby I could have easily grabbed before going down into the water, so you might want to do that just in case. Or better yet, we're going to have to revisit this spot later on to get underneath one of those platforms to get yet more music notes as the crocodile, so it's probably better than anything just to wait and collect both sets of those when there is no risk. In a few seconds here, you'll see me climb one of these giant cattails to collect 3 more. Most if not all of these things have goodies to collect on top of them, but it's only this one here that has the music notes. So while these ones can be easy to miss, once you've got them, you don't have to climb up the cattails anymore to look for notes for the rest of the level. And again, here you'll see me throw away more health to get some notes I could have just as easily gotten as the crocodile without taking damage. If you simply must do it like I am here, remember to jump constantly to minimize your time in the water, and if you have any gold feathers left, use them to walk freely through the swamp without taking damage for a short time if you need to. Having done all that, I'm going to make my way towards Mumbo's hut now to transform into the crocodile and get the final series of notes on this stage. As we head that way, you're going to run into this sketchy swamp maze that killed me a lot when I first played Banjo Kazooie. Really the only thing to keep in mind here is that while I did just call it a maze, it's really more of a long winding path than a maze, and there really is no wrong way to go. There are no dead ends. Just keep on going and you'll make it to the next patch of dry ground or boots without much trouble. Don't stress too much if you miss any notes as you pass through. If you do, just leave them until after you become the crocodile, and you can return to collect them when there is no pressure of your boots expiring. So now that we're the crocodile, we can get ourselves into the couple of areas on the level that we couldn't squeeze into as Banjo and Kazooie, the first of which will be inside the giant crocodile here in the center of this big room. Don't forget that there are 2 entrances to the structure, and each one has 3 notes. And now it's simply a straight shot back to this final area where we were forced to leave behind 4 notes for when we made our transformation, and that will wrap up our note run on Bubblegloop Swamp. I think this is a pretty tough level. It has all kinds of hazards that requires the player to play it safe and keep an eye on their health more than others, I would say. And I personally think that there isn't any other level in Banjo Kazooie that has a threat as omnipresent, if you will, as the swamp water in this stage. It really forces you to be careful with every move that you make. If you're still running around the level and are struggling to find the last few notes on your game, I would make sure that you got those 3 notes on top of the cattail in the room with the giant crocodile building, and don't forget to grab the notes that were hidden in the destructible hut that you had to reach with the shock jump pads. Those were hidden from view and could be easily missed. But other than that, I think I've given all of the tips for Bubblegloop Swamp that I can. I hope something in this video was just the thing that you needed to collect the last music notes on the stage, and you're getting closer to collecting them all in the game. If there are any other levels in Banjo Kazooie that are giving you trouble as far as finding music notes, make sure to do a search on my YouTube channel for the stage that's got you stuck, and we'll see if we can get you some tips on that one as well. As always, if you enjoyed this guide, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel for more tips, tricks, walkthroughs, and Let's Plays. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.